Hey everyone, and welcome back to the third installment of this series on the National Achievers Congress 2017. This was the event I went to in March of 2017. There's 7 speakers that I'm going to be covering and sharing as much as I can about what I took away from them. And today is one of the most exciting in my opinion, and that is Gary Vaynerchuk. This guy is a marketing monster. He is just awesome, and there's a ton to be learned from him. So the first thing I just want to mention is it was very interesting. He was not there live. He actually showed up on some new hologram technology, and it was cool because he said, he always wants to be on the cutting edge of technology and all this new stuff, which is awesome that he's, finding a way to be more efficient and using technology to his benefit. I will say, though, that there was something lost in this because it wasn't live. Now, if he was appearing as a hologram, but he was still presenting in a live format where he could react to the audience, then I think it would have been a lot better because the guy's hilarious. And so there were jokes that landed and everybody was laughing, but then we missed we missed part of the presentation. We missed part of the effectiveness of what he was trying to teach us because he wasn't able to kind of go back and forth with the audience. So that was my only gripe about it, but otherwise he had some awesome stuff to say, and let's get right into it. I'm going to share it all with you. I found this nice picture of Mr. Vaynerchuk. Looks a few years old, but in case you didn't know, he started right out of college in his family wine business, and there's a picture of him, probably something that got him a lot of attention, and that's what he focuses a lot on. So, first, I want to start with a fun quote like I always do. He said at the event, "Sometimes you have to eat a few poison berries in a new land before you know the good ones." And he's referring to basically all the different media that's out there. He's a marketer, he's focused on getting people's attention, and he sees all these startups and new apps and all this stuff as different opportunities. But he says if you want to catch a trend, then you kind of need to be willing to experiment and sample all of them. And some of them aren't going to work, so you got to find that out if you want to be one of the first people. So that's a first pretty good takeaway there. Now, as a kid, Gary collected baseball cards. This is just, maybe you've heard some of the intro about him, but it's pretty fascinating. And so on the weekends, he would go to trading conventions where he said he literally made thousands of dollars as a teenager. And he said he had a natural talent for entrepreneurship, and his parents, instead of telling him, no, study more, you can't go to these events, they supported him. And that's one of the biggest reasons he became so good at what he does. Then, as soon as he went out of college, here, let's get some slides going here, and we'll cover some of his accomplishments, we'll call them. There's the quote I skipped over. So, he went to work for his family wine business right out of college, and he grew it from $3 million to $60 million in just 5 years. He said he wanted to create what he called the Toys R Us of wine, because he connected with wine, because people collected it. Just like he had done baseball cards when he was a kid, he could relate to that, and he understood the value in that to people. So after he did that, the internet came out, and he saw an opportunity. So he created something called WineLibrary.com. And that was a huge success. He started getting attention. He was able to use the attention to sell stuff related to wine. This is like affiliate marketing. This is what has become a huge industry, right? Now, Gary is CEO of Vaynerchuk, which is just a holding company that refers to basically the biggest company that he's been building is called VaynerMedia. The gallery is a company he acquired, and anyway. He is also going to be in this original series, where is this one? Planet of the Apps, coming in spring 2017, which is right now. So it should be coming out very soon. I think I went to the site the other day, and it said coming soon. So this is going to be pretty interesting. It's got some big names, as Gwyneth Paltrow, Jessica Alba, will.i.am. And it could be an interesting show. And he's talking about, obviously, what apps are good, how to get attention, what's important. I'm curious if it's going to be anything like Shark Tank, where they're going to actually put money down to get invested in the different apps and get them off the ground. Okay, so those are some of his obvious accomplishments. He's a huge social media guy, 3.5 million fans across different platforms, and we're going to talk a little more about that further in. What the different platforms mean. What should you be on? What should you be doing if you're trying to get attention? Okay, so here is why I'm a huge fan of this guy. First of all, he gives zero shits about what people think of him. He knows who he is. He's genuine. He's honest to himself. And you can take it or leave it. Now, maybe this makes him come across a little crass in some cases, but it's not like he's a jerk. He's just straight. And he says what he means, basically. And the guy, because of that, he says a lot of interesting stuff that gets a lot of attention, and that's why he's so good at what he does, I think. Second, he says, even though the man appears to be a workaholic, I mean, it seems like he works 14 to 16-hour days every day, but he stresses that family is the most important thing. I would love to talk to the guy and understand how he balances these two, because from the outside, it looks like, oh, you say family is the most important thing, but then do you actually spend any time with your family? So I would love to talk to the guy and see how he balances it. Maybe quality of time together is what's most important for them, and they do the things that make them a happy family. And that's probably it. And anyway, that's a great lesson that anyone can take away. Don't forget all the money, all the accomplishments. Ultimately, it's going to come down to family and companionship. Got to keep your eye where it's important. At least I believe that strongly. And third, he understands people. He understands what they want and how he can deliver it, and that's why he's been such a successful entrepreneur in this beautiful capitalist state of the United States of America. So here's the interesting thing. I thought about why I like him so much, and then he talks about his pillars of success. And the two of these seem to go kind of hand in hand. So the first pillar is self-awareness. And what was I talking about? One of the first reason I really like the guy, he gives zero shits. He knows who he is, he's aware of who he is, and he's true to that. Second, hustle. I just said he's basically a workaholic. He is certainly true to being, to hustling, to working very hard. And the third, empathy. He understands people, like I said. So it sounds like he is right in line with what he's teaching, what he's talking about. He practices what he preaches, and so far it's working for him. So I think we can take these pillars of success and hopefully use them to assess ourselves, to work harder when necessary, and to really empathize. I mean, this isn't just business. This isn't just being successful. I think the world would be a lot better place if there was a little more empathy overall. He said, this is related to empathy, I guess. He said that a leader works for his followers. So never forget that. Even if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a leader, you have a boss, and that's the people that depend on you, and your customers, your employees, all those people. So a lot of entrepreneurs talk about how things, it's not like you don't have a boss. Sure, you are your own boss, but you still have people that you are responsible for, or you can be held accountable to. So I wouldn't say become an entrepreneur so you don't have to care what anyone thinks, but it definitely does lead to its own, you can be a little more free, you can choose how you're going to run things, you just still need to be accountable to your customers and all those people. Okay, so that's kind of his pillars of success. Obviously you could find that on his website, and we could talk about what they all mean, but here's the biggest thing that he talked about in the presentation. He cares about attention. He said that even as a kid, this is before he was trading baseball cards, he said even as a kid operating a lemonade stand, he was obsessed with attention. He would spend hours, he said, thinking about where the best place was to put his sign so that people driving by, it would be right in their line of sight. He says, though, that once you get somebody's attention, you have to tell a story. So that's what he is always focused on. He's thinking, how do I get in front of you and how do I tell my story? And this has changed a lot since lemonade stands, with the internet obviously. There is still, though, it's a media, and you want to try to get people's attention and tell them what you want to tell them. He says that our attention, first of all, is shifting to cell phones, and this is nothing groundbreaking right now. Everybody kind of says this. TV is dying. As it exists, TV is turned more into Netflix and consume what you want types of shows. But he says he wants to get on all the stations and be the best show on. So, where there used to be ABC, NBC, PBS, whatever, all the different TV shows, stations, those are all the TV stations, and then you'd watch whatever show you want, right? Now, the cell phone is where all this is going and where people are consuming most of this. Of course, there's still some on the computer. But there's still Facebook, maybe even Amazon, right? Video, Netflix, Twitter, all these different places that people consume information for pleasure, for social, whatever it is. He says we should view these as the stations now, and he doesn't care where you're watching. He doesn't care what station you're watching. He wants to be the best show on, and he wants to be on all those stations. So that's kind of where VaynerMedia is going, it seems like, and he wants to be in front of everyone, everywhere, at all times, right? Okay, this is a hilarious quote I just wanted to read, because this is not something you will find, I don't think, on his website or anything, but this is straight from the presentation, and it is stressing how critical our cell phones are becoming and how people cannot deal without them. He said, I would literally rather someone come up to me on the street and stab me in the stomach and steal my wallet than lose my phone. So maybe that's a little excessive, but this is also just a fantastic example of how this guy gets attention, how he gets you to want to listen to what he has to say. So I'm taking notes. I hope you're all taking notes. We all need to be a little, maybe the term is just out there. We have to stand out from what everyday stuff is, because people are getting bombarded all the time with ads and look at me, look at me, look at me. And so we need to do a little something special to be able to get that attention. And as an entrepreneur, attention can be traffic, which can be sales, which can be your business succeeding. So those were my takeaways from this presentation. Look out for more. There are going to be 4 more coming. Leave comments. Let me know what you like, what you didn't, if you have anything to say about his pillars or anything else, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.